Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Max with BuzzTox. So this is my initial thoughts of this episode. I watched it literally 2 minutes ago. And I'm here without Trev. Trev is on vacation, but I thought I'd just sit down and talk alone. It's very hard to carry a conversation when you're alone, but I will try. This episode, I thought, it didn't live up to my expectations. Granted, my expectations were really high. I feel like it wasn't a setup episode. It was supposed to be kind of like a big reveal episode, and everything was supposed to be kind of paid off. And it just didn't hit that for me. I feel like some of the reveals, had, it wasn't shown on screen the way I would want it to. I also feel like some storylines have been pretty much pointless, and have been proven so in this episode. However, I did enjoy the majority of the scenes. If not, I enjoyed all of the scenes. However, I'm somewhat disappointed in the way they handled certain things. So let me go down to Arya. So Arya is definitely, my favorite character next to Jon in this series. And, it happened the way I thought. She was actually stabbed. I think that's really important. I feel like, I don't know why, but, the fan theories are insane. Okay, so for me, it was either she was actually stabbed and it was Arya's mistake. She was being stupid. It was a strategy for her. Maybe she tried, maybe if I change my clothes and I leave my weapons, leave suspicion in my cell and try and negotiate and get a ship to Westeros. That was probably her thought process, because she is on her own. And she was just being stupid. And she underestimated the Faceless Men, and that's actually what happened. The other thought was she was actually talking to Lady Crane before, and she used some of her theatrics to trick the waif. And just by watching it, I feel like, some fans lie to themselves, and we saw on screen that she clearly got stabbed, and there's no way around that. So this episode, we definitely see her at Lady Crane. We knew that was her only ally. And then there's other people who think, Syrio Forel is going to come back, and I just want it to be, I hope Game of Thrones, and I'm glad they haven't so far. If Syrio Forel came back, it would turn into, a giant soap opera. I feel like Syrio Forel served his purpose, even though there's lots of evidence to back up that Syrio Forel could be Jack and Hagar. Just the fact that Meryn Trant escaped with his life and didn't have any information regarding Syrio Forel means to me that he's dead and cut out of the story. So we see Arya, and she has, she's taking milk of the poppy and stitches, and that's what I thought would end up happening. And that's what would allow her, to run through the streets and that kind of thing. So the running through the streets, to me, it was a great scene. However, from the trailers, I was expecting more, but she was injured, I understand that, but I thought it would be this crazy, fight. But Arya's running, and then, finally her injury catches up with her, and she starts limping back, and I clued in. I'm like, she's definitely going back to her little hiding spot. And that's what Trev and I said earlier. We said that she's going to be luring the waif into her little den, and she's going to be shutting off the lights, and it's going to be a Batman Bane style. She's been blind. She's used to this, and that's been the build of this whole season. And that is what is going to allow Arya to defeat the waif. However, the payoff killed me. Well, I realized that you can't show what happens in darkness, and you want the big reveal to show who comes on top without spoiling it. But she just cut out the candle, and that was it. And then we see, her drag the waif. Well, you see blood stains, and then you see the waif's face on the wall. So I thought it was good, but for an episode called No One, I thought we'd be getting a little bit more. However, I understand their move to do this. You can't show action in darkness. It makes total sense to me. And then Jaqen let her go. And it surprised me how Jaqen claimed that she was a faceless person until she said, no, I'm Arya Stark. I'm going to Westeros. I'm going to my home, blah, blah, blah. And he just kind of smiled okay. So this makes me think, I still believe that Arya, unfortunately, is going to die. I think it's going to be in season 8, the last season. I think it's going to come when she's not expecting it, and I think it is going to be the Faceless people. Jack and Hagar now know she's living life again as Arya Stark. She's going to be in Westeros. She's going to be helping Jon. They're going to be comparing stomach scars. So this is just a part of Arya's arc. However, I thought her being in Braavos for so long, I feel like it could have had a bigger oomph. Like with Hodor, Hold the Door. it was really dramatic and really affected you. However, I feel like Arya's storyline here maybe fell a little bit short. But we're not going to be seeing her next episode. We're probably going to see her episode 10, maybe getting on a boat and sailing for Westeros. But let's go over to the Hound. So just as we thought, the 3 men are rebels. They're part of the Brotherhood, but they're not true members. And I knew that the Hound would go and show up, and he would have a discussion with Thoros and Myr, and they would both agree in a sense that these people were guilty. However, they already decided that before the Hound got there. And Beric Dondarrion was there. It was great. I didn't think Beric Dondarrion would be there. My guess was that he would be dead, because I thought they'd kind of give a little tidbit to Lady Stoneheart. I thought they would say he sacrificed himself for Lady Stoneheart. However, it failed. He sacrificed himself for Catelyn Stark, but it failed. But he was there, which was great to see him. So they allow him to kill 2 of the 3 men. I'm really sad. I feel like they missed an opportunity for the Hound to be able to wear Septa Ray's medallion, 7-pointed star medallion. I love that idea. I feel like it was a wasted opportunity. But, just as I said, Clegane Bowl is a myth. I've been saying this forever, and it just proves right here. I'll get into it with Cersei, but here clearly the Brotherhood wants to go north. The fight is at the north. Now that the Blackfish has died and Riverrun has been taken over, they have no purpose. They serve the greatest amount of good at the north, where the winter is coming and the White Walkers are approaching. So I feel like the Hound will definitely make it north. I feel like he will make it north to help the greatest amount of people and for Arya. I'm still going to stick to my guns, though, that he's going to turn down the Brotherhood, and I feel like he's going to meet up with Brienne. See, now it doesn't really make sense. I thought Brienne would have the Blackfish and his army, but she doesn't, so she's alone on a boat. So now I'm thinking that she meets up with the Brotherhood, and they together go north. I feel like that's the overall plan. But speaking of the Blackfish, let's go over to Jaime Lannister. So what I really liked about this whole storyline is that we get to see the darkness of Jaime Lannister. You know, we saw it in season 1, and then they kind of redeemed him, and he's been, the golden boy ever since. And I'm really glad now that they showed the darkness of Jaime. You see him talking to Edmure, and he's kind of relating to him, and talking about his sister, and it feels like a nice scene. And you're starting to see the humanity in Jaime, until he says, "I love Cersei, and I will take your baby and catapult it over the walls. I will do anything to get back to Cersei." And we see that dark side to Jaime, and I thought it was very necessary, and I really liked it. I thought it was really good. However, I have different things to say about how they handled the siege. So I feel like this was a huge storyline that they were really shoving down our throats for this season. I was really excited to see the outcome. To realize that it really didn't go anywhere. My initial prediction was that the Blackfish was going to surrender, but he would surrender knowing that he could come back with Stark men and an army by his back, and the North would back him up to take back Riverrun. I thought that would be the plan, and I thought they'd kind of sneak out and come back later to take it over. But it ended in the most anticlimactic way. I'm not saying it has to be amazing every single time, but I feel like it was a storyline that was just thrown in there because it was in the books. It didn't really serve a purpose. Jaime went there to take Riverrun. Okay. The Blackfish refuses to take over refuses to give it up. Okay. Brienne had absolutely no influence on either of them. Okay. And then she leaves, and the Blackfish dies. We don't even see his fucking death. We start to, talk. We spend a couple episodes with this guy. We start to feel for this guy. And then we don't even get to see his death. They just say they killed him. So I feel like it was a wasted opportunity. And now they have Riverrun, and Brienne is back where she started. She's getting these shit storylines. Like, now she's on her way back to Sansa with absolutely nothing achieved, with no army. Riverrun is taken over, and they're going to be celebrating with the Freys. But there's this story literally had no purpose, and that's what pisses me off the most. So now let me go over to Tyrion Lannister. So, I like seeing Tyrion. I feel like Tyrion's being underused in this season. But I liked how he was kind of proven wrong. He's from Westeros. He doesn't really know the East as well as he thinks he does, and that kind of bit him in the ass. I did like the scene between him, Grey Worm, and Missandei. They started drinking and telling jokes. And I thought really what this was is, in a sense, he's kind of grooming them to be their own people. He's kind of grooming them to be rulers in a sense. Not just from drinking, but not being slaves, not being followers. And that interaction with Tyrion is he treated them as an equal. And I think that's the next step for when they are left to take Meereen, and they're going to be the rulers of Meereen, and Tyrion and Daenerys are going to leave. And that's the overall arc, and I thought that was really what the point of this scene was. And you see that they're not just slaves anymore. They're actually contributing to the conversation. They're saying what they want. They're having fun. And I thought that was really important, and that's the next step to them really taking on the mantle of leading Meereen. And, I feel like with this, they see the Master's ships kind of approaching, and then we cut away, and we see, a bunch of stuff. And then all of a sudden the Masters are here, and they're attacking. I feel like it was kind of jarring. And I feel like there was no, I don't know, like it was missing the emotional pull. It was missing something. I don't know what it was. It was like this big battle was taking place, but I didn't feel on the edge of my seat at all. I was like, okay, this is happening. So they're holding up in the pyramid, and of course Daenerys comes. Makes sense. She flew there with her dragon. I don't remember what I said about Daenerys in my prediction, but anyways, so I think, the next step, and I'm annoyed that they didn't show it, is, they're going to be letting out the other two dragons, unless Daenerys is just going to hop on Drogon and roast all their ships, which she totally can do. You know what? Yeah, that's the first thing she does. Daenerys roasts everyone, and then she says, great, now I'm the Dragon Queen, let's let out the dragons. Boom, they're going to use Drogon to help train the two dragons. This is going to be in episode 10. And then Tyrion is going to realize that he actually has a relationship with the golden dragon, Viserion. But I feel like in episode 9, we're going to be seeing how Daenerys destroys the ships. And that's pretty much it. It's just going to be the end to that battle. So let me talk about Cersei Lannister. So we find out pretty much the moral of this is that there's no trial by combat. Which totally makes sense to me. I always said, the gods have proven that they are reckless. And it makes sense to me that they would want to rule out the trial by combat. The excuse makes sense. And obviously the High Sparrow knows that the odds are definitely in Cersei's favor with the Mountain, so it makes sense for him to cancel the trial by combat. And just the betrayal that Cersei has from her son, and there's nothing she can do about it, and there's nothing that she will do about it because she loves her son. So I think what Cersei's going to pretty much be doing now is taking a back seat until her trial. I don't know what she's going to do until then. Maybe she'll try and make up a scene with the Mountain. She'll try and kill as many sparrows as she can and leave it up to her son to decide what to do with her. I feel like it's pretty much all she could do. But I am very happy. I don't know if fans are going to like me saying this, but I'm so glad the Clegane Bowl is not happening. I'm sorry. But it just doesn't make sense. I feel like, fans to support their theory are stretching it to a point where it just doesn't fit the story, and it's too out there. Like the Hound going to King's Landing, the motives for him doing that don't make sense. Why would he want to go back there? So I'm glad that they're not doing the Clegane Bowl, because it wouldn't make sense, and it would give it that soap opera feel. Of course, the brother has to go back to fight and get vengeance on his older brother. So I'm glad that that's not a part of the story, and I'm interested to see what happens with Cersei. Her downfall is definitely here. And I feel like her death is going to be in the first 5 episodes of Season 7. I'm pretty convinced. We're at the point now where we're going to have to make way, and the story's going to have to shift more north. And speaking of north, let's go to Episode 9. And Episode 9 is pretty much going to be all in the north. I think we're going to get 50 minutes of fighting. This is going to be a 60-minute episode, I believe. We're going to get 50 minutes of fighting. We're going to get 10 minutes of Daenerys, probably, because her story and Tyrion's story is the only story that isn't fully closed yet. Arya's story has concluded. She now just told Jack and Hagar she's leaving, she's going to Westeros, the story is finished. Even though it didn't finish in the way that I wanted it to, it is finished. Or as climactic as I wanted it to. But Daenerys is there, and then they're at war. So the next thing to do is to get the dragons, and they fight. And then after that, we're going to get the fight between the bastards. The Battle of the Bastards. I'm very excited for this episode. And I have a couple things as a fan that I want. First of all, I want an epic Braveheart speech from Jon. We have been teased, maybe, by some speeches in this season, and we never really get speeches in Game of Thrones, I noticed. But in this season, they really made it clear. We have Mace Tyrell's shit speech. We have Daenerys' dragon speech. I want Jon Snow riding on a horse, riding back and forth, giving like a good 2-minute speech to his men before they go and fight Ramsay Bolton. Another thing, Ramsay Bolton is dying episode 9. He could die episode 10. It doesn't matter. He's dying this season. And there's a reason for that. You need Ramsay out of the way, and you need to start moving the puzzle pieces out of the way to let in the White Walkers. Ramsay Bolton needs to be gone so they can take back Winterfell so they can prepare for the White Walkers. You're not going to have Ramsay Bolton jump on a horse and flee and then come back for vengeance next season. That's not going to fly. You need to close the storyline and start moving forward. So Ramsay's going to die. And what I hope is a little Hollywood showdown. Okay? I want it to go a little bit Hollywood here. I want Jon Snow fighting Ramsay Bolton. I want fucking like horses and shit going around them and fighting, and I want the fight to be between them two. I think that would be amazing. I feel like for this purpose, you need it to be cinematic. Very cinematic, and I want a little bit of Hollywood in this. I think it would be awesome. However, I think we're going to lose some things. I did talk earlier about Braavos. We see him at the pyre. 100%, I'm guaranteeing that is Shireen's remains. How does he know? So either the stone on her face didn't burn, which I don't think they're going to be showing a little girl's half-stone face on the ground. I think they're going to be showing her stag, her elk wood thing that Braavos made her. I don't think it's going to burn in the fire because I think it's a hardwood, and certain hardwoods don't burn, as Trev said. It's just going to be burnt. It's going to be blackened and charred. And he's going to see that, and he's going to know. And I feel like it's going to lead to his death. I think he's going to realize that Melisandre did it, and I feel like he's just going to be a bit careless. And I feel like Braavos has served his purpose. His purpose was to rally the men. He did what he could. Braavos is the talker. Unfortunately, we don't really need a talker for the White Walkers. Unless he could go south and start rallying people to come help fight. I feel like Braavos is going to die. I think he's going to find out about Shireen. It's going to kind of hurt him a bit. He's going to be pissed off at Melisandre. And then I think we're going to get a death of Braavos, unfortunately. And then I think in episode 10, it's called The Winds of Winter. Pretty straightforward. The wall could come down. My thoughts on this are very possible. I think it would be a very epic thing to happen. However, the White Walkers can't be there when the wall falls down. And the Night's King can't be the one to do it. And I keep saying this because you can't have 14 to 15 episodes of Game of Thrones with the White Walkers at the wall. Unless I'm misconstruing this whole thing. Who knows? Well, we do see snow in King's Landing, so that could infer that the fight keeps going south, and Jon and them actually have to keep fleeing from Winterfell back. And they have to flee more south as the White Walkers come. But what I think is going to happen is the wall is going to come down and allow the winds of winter to sweep through Westeros. And I think the only way to do that is with Bran. We haven't seen Bran since episode 6 or 7, I believe. And I thought he would go to the Weirwood Tree just north of the wall where Jon and Sam swore their vows. Maybe not. Maybe he's just going to go straight through the wall. And I feel like that magic that the Night's King put on him is going to kill the magic. And the magic, I believe, that is holding up the wall, or that has enchanted the wall. I think it's more than enchantments. I think the magic is actually holding up the wall. And I think that's what it will come down. I think as soon as Bran comes through, the wall comes down. And I'm pretty sure that's what happens. However, I'm still a little bit iffy on it because, I don't know, it just seemed weird to me if all of a sudden Bran was at the wall. I feel like he should make a pit stop at the Weirwood Tree over the wall, because we need Jon Snow's answers. We're going to be getting answers from Bran episode 10 on Jon Snow's parentage and all that stuff, which sets up the next season of, you know, the savior, or one of the 3 saviors who are destined to fight the White Walkers. I think we're also going to be seeing a lot of travel. We're going to be seeing Dany wrap things up, give command to Grey Worm and Missandei, sorry, and she's going to head to Dorne, and I think she's going to make her way north, and I think the White Walkers are going to make their way south. I think Arya leaves for Westeros. I don't even think, like, we're probably going to get a 2-minute scene of Arya. That's it for the next 2 episodes. And I think it's just going to be Jon and Sansa wrapping things up with Littlefinger in Winterfell in episode 10. I think they're going to have to go through some deals, as Sansa wrote a letter to him. And that wasn't even confirmed yet, because Jon wasn't even in this episode. I'm very adamant. We have both been very adamant, even from our initial reaction of the last episode. Sansa did write that to Littlefinger. It would make no sense for her to write it to anyone else. It only makes sense for her to write it to Littlefinger. And we did go through all of Littlefinger's motives in our full analysis of episode 7. And it makes sense. So we have to figure out what Littlefinger want out of this deal. Maybe he just wants Sansa's forgiveness and her as an ally, because Littlefinger doesn't really have many allies in the South right now. The shit's falling apart. But I think that's about it, guys. Leave a like, comment down below, let me know. I'm going to be coming out with a full analysis video, really going in depth on what I think is going to happen next episode. The thing about this episode, though, is that it was a lot of payoff, so there's not really much to speculate on, but I'll see what I can do. But overall, this episode was good. I think certain scenes could have been handled better. I'm not saying the story should have changed. I'm saying Arya should have went through what she has went through. However, I think there was a better way to do it, and I feel like they made it seem kind of anticlimactic, or it just didn't have an emotional pull that I was looking for. But that's it for me. All right, everybody. See you later.